Good morning, Southeast Texas, Southwestern Louisiana, and on the World Wide Web. King's Country, kingscountry.net. It is a Jim King of the Radio Show, TGIF edition. We'll be talking about the TV show, especially since we have a magnificent milestone this week, episode number 970, for those of you keeping track. That means this year we will hit 1,000 episodes of the Jim King of the TV show, the world-famous one. This week we are wrapping up our exclusive interviews and concert footage with the late, great Mickey Gilley and his partner in crime, Johnny Lee. It's all about Urban Cowboy and the 45th anniversary of that blockbuster film. I've got some audio samples on the way and a lot more. Stay with me on King's Country.
All the stations up here that don't sign off with Dixie.
King's Country, kingscountry.net with Jason Aldean. You know, I got to meet that guy before he was really a household name. I mean, he was red hot then. He'd already had a number one song. It was about 2005, 2006 at Wild Bill's, and I saw him at the across the street at Whiskey River here in Beaumont. And that's why I'm having a fabulous flashback to the time I got to go on his tour bus. I probably wouldn't get 100 yards from the guy these days.
King of the
On Jason Aldean's tour bus.
Now that hat, that's kind of your trademark. Did you come up with that? Did you design that hat? Because you're the first person I've seen wear a hat like that.
You know what's funny about this hat, man, is it kind of has, I guess, become a trademark, but it was something that I was just walking around in I think it was a Tractor Supply or something one day, and I just saw it, and it was really cheap. It was like $25, and I just thought it was really cool because I wear a lot of brown, and it had some brown in it. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool, so I just bought it, and just loved the way it fit and looked, and just started wearing it all the time, and then it kind of became a little bit of a trademark thing. So, but yeah, I've had more compliments on this hat, and it's the cheapest one I've ever bought. So that just goes to show you it doesn't have to cost a lot to get results.
Well, you started something because there's about 10 guys in there trying to look just like you. So,
I don't know why they'd want to do that. But
what do you think of this hat?
I think it's your thing, man. I don't think it worked for me, but it's good for you.
Jim King.
Very good.
My Crown Boy hat, I call it.
That's right.
I don't know if it's going to start any trends like you have, but
I don't know either.
King of the Road.
King's Country, kingscountry.net. Of course, we're famous for playing only the very best country music from yesterday and today. When I say yesterday, I'm talking about people like George Jones. And today I've got to include somebody like Luke Combs. His career has just really skyrocketed recently. And here's Luke Combs singing a George Jones classic, The Grand Tour, at the Opry 100th Anniversary Special. This dude's got pipes.
Where she'd bring the paper to me and sit down on my knees, whisper, oh, I love you. Oh, now she's gone forever, and this old house will never be the same without the love that we once knew.
Bye, 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 my baby, bye, bye.
King's Country at kingscountry.net. It's the Jim King thing. Thanks for listening. Come on in and watch the show this weekend because it's our 970th episode. It's all about Urban Cowboy because we're celebrating the 45th anniversary of the release of the film Urban Cowboy, starring John Travolta and Deborah Winger. Yeah, it was, do the math, that was 45 years ago. That's why we're doing a Urban Cowboy thing with my exclusive footage I captured over the years with Mickey Gilley and Johnny Lee. It's a real treat. I enjoyed producing it. Hope you can check it out this weekend. Here comes an audio sample. Now, here's more of our exclusive with Mickey Gilley at the Hardin County Music Fest.
In 1974, I broke the ice after 17 years. Some of you ladies made this my first #1 recording in the country music charts. If you remember this one. If I sent a rose to you, by the time you made me blue, you'd have a room full of roses. If I sent a rose of white for every time that I cried all night, you'd have a room full of roses. just the way you broke my heart. But if someday you're feeling blue and you can send a rose, maybe two, don't send me a rose full of roses. You know why? All I want is my arms around you. The orchid is a flower that blooms so tenderly to thrill the fairest lady of the land. 1974, I recorded Room Full of Roses for the B-side of a song called She Called Me Baby All Night Long. And the radio station flipped it, started playing the flower song. The next thing I knew, I had a #1 song in the nation.
You still got your show in Branson?
I have a theater in Branson, and this is my last year there. I'm doing selected dates this year, and I'm doing a lot of road work.
You got a couple of really famous cousins, too, Jimmy Swaggart and Jerry Lee Lewis. You keep in touch with those guys?
Don't hold that against me. You probably know, too, that I have 2 famous cousins I grew up with, right? Jerry Lee Lewis in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and, of course, Reverend Jimmy Swaggart. Don't hold that against me. But in 1957, when I made my first recording in the music industry, I had tried to follow my cousin Jerry Lee Lewis into this music scene. He had a whole lot of shaking at the time. He came into Houston. He was traveling with Johnny Cash and Sonny James. I get to run around with him. I was working for $1.25 an hour. So I tried to follow my cousin Jerry Lee into the music industry. I made a big mistake. I should have followed Reverend Swaggart. He made more money than me and Jerry Lee Lewis put together. Tax-free.
I say, well, they'll never stay home. They're always alone, even with someone they love.
Tell me one more time. I didn't understand that.
I said, Mickey, they'll never stay home, and they're always alone, even with someone they love.
Johnny Lee!
Mickey Gilley and the Urban Cowboy Band.
King of the Road.
Here comes this week's Honky Tonk Texas Fabulous Flashback.
We've been working a lot lately, and I am still looking. It don't hurt to look. You can get a menu, that don't mean you got to order.
This guy is an entertainer extraordinaire. We've seen you lots of times tell you at Wild Bill's recently in Whiskey River. And
Wasn't that fun?
you have a lot of fun. You still got a lot of people that really believe in you. And I've heard from more than a few people in this area that have seen you recently that say you even sound better now than you did back then.
I straightened up.
King of the Road.
King's Country at kingscountry.net. Tell your friends about us. Take us everywhere, because we are everywhere. Via Bluetooth in the vehicle, that's how I roll in the Black Bullet. Live 365 is my favorite platform. But we're also on iTunes and TuneIn. Take your choice. Sounds crystal clear. Everywhere. I'm Jim King of the Radio. This is a TGIF edition. Oh, and looky here. My old friend Cody Johnson coming up next. That's why I'm having another one of those fabulous flashbacks. Fabulous flashbacks.
King of the Road.
Backstage in Jasper, Texas with Cody Johnson.
Cody Johnson, you kind of had a beginning sort of like Chris Ledoux because he did the same thing, selling CDs on the back of his car and hitting the rodeos.
I didn't realize that at the time. I'd always grown up, Chris was a big influence on me, but I didn't realize that he had come from such a humble upbringing as far as financially and had to do that. We did a trip up to Canada this year, and I actually got to sit down with Chris's old hauling partner. He's like an 8-time saddle bronc Canadian champion, and he was telling me these stories about how Chris couldn't buy McDonald's, and he was selling his CDs to try to make up for his entry fee money that he lost. And you're talking about a world champion. So I said, well, at least we know we're doing one thing right. We can follow in those footsteps. Those are good ones.
One of the thrills of my radio career was actually getting to meet Chris Ledoux.
You're a kid.
This was probably 10 years ago, just before he passed.
See, now I'm a little jealous.
Oh. Well, there's nothing to be jealous of. I was in a kind of a cattle call, like they do at the backstage areas. But Another cool thing is you were actually a prison guard, weren't you? For the Huntsville prison?
Yeah, and people say that all the time. There's like 7 within the city limits there, and like I said, I grew up around a prison farm, and the only thing that bothered me about working there and quitting was going to shows afterwards. First time we went to Amarillo, I heard, "Look out, boss." Turned around, and it was 2 guys that had worked for me in the field.
She won't cheat again on me.
Thanks again for streaming King's Country. I'm Jim King. And, of course, you know this by now. If you've been listening to us for a few moments, we only play the best from today and yesterday. And one of the best artists that we have today, without a doubt, is that guy. The guy I'm talking about is the one where it's the dark shades always. Yeah, Eric Church. Here's Eric Church talking about his new single. It's called Hands of Time.
Hands of Time is interesting because I feel like as I get older, I'm looking for things that make me feel not as old. And for Hands of Time, I really do. I can honestly say that when I hear music or a movie or something, those things, when I see something from my past, I feel like I did then. I relate to what it was then. And, there's a line in the song is, how do you handle the hands of time? And I really believe that a really good way to handle that is with music.
King's Country at kingscountry.net. I tell you what, it is blue skies and green lights in southeast Texas. Just a gorgeous day. I'm going to get out and about and walk a couple of miles today. Feeling good. It's like 75 degrees. These days, fall and spring in southeast Texas remind me of my many years in Southern California. I lived in Hollywood, lived in Indio, California. That's where I had my first job, radio job, and that wasn't the best weather. That's on the desert side of Southern California, where it gets to 120 degrees sometimes. But I spent many years in Los Angeles and even loved it at a point. I don't think I would like living there anymore, and I'm glad I moved back to Texas when I did. But anyhow, I do have some good friends there, and things have just really gotten really messed up as far as expenses. Very expensive place to live, first of all. It's cheap here, and I'm a cheap person. Anyway, that's enough about me. You keep between the ditches. Have a good one. See you out and about this weekend, I hope. Later, Gators.
Long live the king!